push, but I was going to try and back down into the hole, and I managed to turn the machine, and I backed down over the edge down into the hole. I got down in here, and then I used my tractor and cleaned up this corner. I finally was able to drive the machine out, but I didn't have any problems. Except for almost losing a machine and a shaft. So then I filled in this whole area with dirt. Now this looks like it's a piece of cake here. The truck is driving in there with concrete, but it's not. This crane cannot drive out of there from that point. You can see all that ore up here with the gold in it. But we're pouring that section of shaft. The crane operator was not able to drive out of there, and I told him, well, I'll pull you out with the excavator. I said, I'll pull you to myself, then I'll back up, and I'll pull you to myself, and then back up. I said, you let me know when you can drive out. He said, well, you just get me around this corner, and he said he could drive out himself. So I pulled him all around this corner, up the hill, and around the corner, almost to my mobile home, when he was finally able to drive on his own. So it was very, very bad. I'm getting up pretty high now. I'm going to get above this water table pretty quick. Wait a minute, let me go back here. I want to focus this guy in here. Okay. Now I got to add a little section onto my concrete slab. And what I've got is I got two electrical panels here. There's two doors on this side and two on the back side of each one of these panels. So I put one panel over there and one on this side, then I open the doors all the way around, and I've got a building with 8 doors that I can put electrical equipment in. There's electrical equipment in there right now. I've got this. This is a rotary phase generator that'll convert 220 volt single phase to 220 volt 3-phase to run the equipment in the shaft. And I'm going to be using this very soon when the core drillers come in. We didn't get much snow here, but when we did, I built a little snowman here, a little token snowman. It was gone in 2 days. And this is a winch I've got. This is our head frame, that winch, and this is a special cable to use for an elevator and an ore car. I'm purchasing equipment as I go here, trying to get stuff that we're going to need eventually, as reasonable as possible. Just another section of shaft. Now this is my last section. I'm not to the surface, but I believe I'm going to be above water at this point, so I put a pipe right here, a 6-inch pipe, and I welded it in there. I'm going to pour the concrete around that pipe, and I'm going to have a pump in the bottom of the shaft, which I do now, 800 gallon a minute pump. I'm going to pump water out of that pipe, across here, and down the river. Now I'm still 20 foot from the original surface, but this way I'm not exposed to the road. They cannot see me from the road, they cannot hear me from the road. I'm down in a hole working, but I'm still above water. That's why I opted to not, and also it would take me 4 more months to come up the next 2 sections to get to the surface. A lot more money. There you can see the pipe coming out of the rebars there. This is all quicksand down here, mush. Now I had thought in advance that I might want to ground this head frame, and so I purchased 650 foot of 1/2-inch braided copper wire, and I CAD welded these wires to copper ground rods, 8 feet long, and I set these ground rods all the way down to bedrock in the dirt, and I buried these rods and these cables. These cables are coming up both sides here. I think the next picture shows it a little bit better. Here's the cables right here. That's 1/2-inch thick braided copper cables coming up there and here. And they're going all the way down to ground rods, all the way down to bedrock. So if I decide that I want to ground this head frame, this is the best ground I could possibly have. Of course, all these cables are in mush and water, 50 foot of water. And the CAD welding keeps the joints from coming apart. It's a special explosive type of welding. I've got the jigs and the explosives to do that myself. This is my best friend Julius Forney, who is now dead. And he was the underground foreman in a lot of the local gold mines up until 1942 when he closed them down. And he knew everything there was to know about gold mining in Rutherford County. He knew a lot more about gold mining than the mining engineers I brought in from out west. I had tried to get this mine of ours going while he was still alive, because it would have been such a thrill for him to actually get down to an underground hard rock mine and see what these veins look like. All his life he wanted to see the veins in the rock, but never got there. You can see a picture of Madonna in the back. He was the best Christian man I've ever known in my life. He's also got, I believe that's a emblem for Shriners or something, not Shriners. I forget what it is now, some organization. But he was proud of that organization, and whenever one of my partners would show up that was a member of that organization, he would let him know that he was also a member. I think it was the Masons, I'm not sure. This is the last time I'm going to have to move these forms. And I had a lot of trouble moving these forms. They'd rip apart, and I'd have to weld them together, and they'd break, and I'd have to put new plywood on, and just a lot of disasters. You see my machine is kind of beat up from some of my past accidents. There's my last section. Now I'm formed up for the last pour. Of course, the crane's going to be right alongside of me, so it's going to go fast. He's not having to reach way out into space anymore. That first pour he made, it was such a long reach that he was tipping the machine over. So I finished pouring this little addition onto my slab here for this electrical panel. And we poured this last section. I believe this is the last time I saw water. I believe once I filled it in, I was above the water there. Yes, I just filled this in and compacted it down with the excavator. Now I'm above water. So after a year, I don't have to pump water finally. Some of this dirt here might have some gold in it. That's kaolin. That's a clay that they use from the very expensive pottery dishes. And in the dirt, when you get to this kaolin, you're getting to pockets of very rich ore that have a lot of free gold in it. There's a nice view of the shaft. You can see it's 5 foot wide on the inside and 13 foot wide, long on the inside. And the concrete is 18 inches thick. It's got all kinds of reinforcing rods in it. It's got these 4-inch channel irons in it. And what I did besides, as I was coming up, I would weld a 4-inch channel iron across here and here to set my forms on the inside on. And I did this every 6 feet, all the way down, or all the way up from the bottom to the top. So I've got this compartmentized now into 3 compartments of equal size. There's the copper ground rods coming to the surface. Well, this material I'm going to have to dig back out, because that definitely has gold in it. I'm going to have to take that out and process and put some red clay in there. So I'm just filling it in, compacting the dirt. Now there's 85 foot of fill dirt going to be in this spot. So I'm going to have to compact it as I have been all the way up. Every time I put a foot of dirt down, I'd have to compact it with the excavator. This is the day I found out that my wife and I were going to have a baby. He's 6 years old now. He's in kindergarten. His name is Troy Austin Lidberg. We're very proud of that. I married a young girl, and she wanted to have a couple kids. Now we now have 2 children. The one boy is 6 years old, and one girl that's now 3 years old. Her name is Heather Rochelle Lidberg. I don't have flowers to show for her though. This is some of the richest ore on the property. When it's red like this, it's got a lot of free gold in it.